another episode of The Life Coach Twitch, The Life Coach on YouTube, and The Life Coach as Holistic Life Consultants on Facebook. This is The Life Coach. This is me, Eric, and I am here on a wonderful Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. with you fine people. Freshly brewed coffee. Did upgrade the coffee game, just in case you are one of the people who was here early yesterday. It's kind of a big deal. Got some good coffee. It's not totally there yet. We are solidly 2/3 of the way to a good cup of coffee, but I hope to remedy that this weekend. Just letting people file in. We're going to talk a little bit more about discipline today, as I promised yesterday. All right, there we go. All right, so I want to show you guys, it's the same mug as yesterday. It's the Super Mario Brothers Dark World mug. And cheers to you for being here early. Or if you're watching this as a video, you're late, but it's okay. Cheers anyway. Better, closer, warmer. It's definitely better. It's not all the way there, because the other coffee, I have the New England decaf hazelnut, which is good. I can still tell it's a little bit different than the regular hazelnut, but I have like Pete's coffee for the other half, which I am going to remedy for sure this weekend, because this is not as good as it could be. But it's closer. It's definitely closer. We're going to get there. We're going to get there together. Damn it. After Labor Day, hell or high water, we're going to have good coffee. I don't care if I have to start drinking caffeinated coffee again at 8 o'clock at night. We're going to do that. So how was your day? How was your week so far? If you were not here yesterday, I implore you to go back and watch the VOD or go to YouTube and check it out on The Life Coach. The goal, by the way, just so you guys know, please sign up. Subscribe to The Life Coach. It's free. Go to YouTube. Put in youtube.com/thelifecoach. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video. I'm trying to beat the Life Coach school or academy or whatever nonsense they have. I don't even show up in the algorithm right now when you search The Life Coach, even though it's literally the name of the channel. So anything you could do to bring more relevance in the eyes of the YouTube gods would be fantastic. So I really appreciate that. Please go and subscribe on there. Leave a like if you're watching this on Twitch. Please follow. You don't have to subscribe there because that costs you money. Like the video on Facebook if you're watching it there. And obviously if you're watching it as a video or a VOD, throw in a like if you can. Comments are great. Interaction and comments are actually better. But here you can see you can become a member at holisticlifeconsultants.com. You can find me on Instagram, The Life Coach Insta. And you can send me DMs there, as well as on Twitch. And you can find me at The Life Coach on YouTube, youtube.com/The Life Coach. I can't believe nobody had that. That's like one of the craziest things to me, is that nobody had that as a name before. It's kind of odd. But I don't care. I got it. It's mine. It's moine. And I know that it gets drowned out with a bunch of other people that have been on YouTube as The Life Coach, whatever, for, I guess, years. But, you know, too bad. We're on there now, and we're going to overtake them. We will win. It will be mine. Oh, yes, it will be mine. So anyway, please let me know in the chat how your day has been going and how your week has been going. If you did show up yesterday for the abuse stream, please let me know what you think about that. If you have gained anything from that, you shared that with anybody, and anybody learned anything from you in that conversation. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about discipline. And not like just punishment, and not just like going and joining the monastery, but just the different ways that we use the word discipline, because, and its antonym. We're going to talk about the value of that word in our language, and ones that are diminished, as well as ones that I think are still valuable. But I think we're going to have some more coffee first before we start that. So you get me going. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what's been happening. Tell me how you've been, and I'll continue to sip coffee. Oh, it is much better. I think the coffee maker also has mold in it. I hate to say that because it's kind of gross, but I think it does. I let it sit for a really long time, and then I started using it, and I just think I need to get a new one. Which sucks, because coffee makers are expensive. Good ones are expensive, but I think I need to get a new one. I think that's it's on the docket. Can't have good coffee without a good coffee maker. And good water, but I have good water. I actually get that. It's like double filtered. It's very good. So, yeah, no, it's definitely going to be the coffee maker. All right, let's get started. Nobody has anything to say, I think. I'm double checking the chat, looking at Twitch and multi-stream. So, all right, let's get started. I'm gonna pause this stuff and let's move on in. Discipline. Discipline is why we are here today. Discipline is a bunch of things. There's actually a lot of really cool definitions for this word. It can be control gained by enforcing obedience or order. That doesn't mean yourself. It means oftentimes with other people. Orderly or prescribed conduct or pattern of behavior. So this is like diets. This is like fasting. Oh, hi, Miss Nick. How has your day been going? I don't know. I don't know how delayed the stream is. So maybe I asked this, and for me it's like a couple minutes ago, but for you it's maybe 5 minutes ago. But how has your day been going? I hope it's been going well. I kind of dove right into the topics. I really got to get an ad blocker on here. This is kind of embarrassing. I get these stupid ads on here, but I hope that it's been going well. We're talking about discipline today, the different ways that you can find this word and the different ways we can use it, and hopefully we're going to do something different with it today. But I hope your day's been going well. All right, so it is also self-control. Discipline, self-control. So an orderly or prescribed conduct or pattern of behavior or self-control. And you need self-control in order to follow a prescribed conduct or pattern of behavior. So like for the diet, for instance, if you want to change your diet, one example that I give all the time is that I used to eat buffalo chicken, 2-3 times a week. Not good. I mean, yeah, it was good, but that's why I ate way too much. I just had my first buffalo chicken wings in I don't even know how long. But it's definitely not 2-3 times a week anymore. And that took a modicum of self-control. But I had to have the discipline. I had to have an orderly or prescribed conduct of behavior. I said to myself, you're going to die. So you should probably stop eating buffalo chicken almost every day. So I did. But that takes self-control. But we'll talk about that separately because self-control is actually a whole separate term. It's a separate definition. But another definition for it is punishment. I find that to be fascinating. That discipline can be self-control, but it can also be putting somebody else in line or causing a negative circumstance and something averse to somebody if they don't follow your prescription for your code. So remember yesterday, if you were here, we talked about abuse and how partners will berate and insult and demean and humiliate and embarrass you if you don't do what they want, if you don't behave accordingly. And honestly, sometimes even when you do, and that's abusive, but it's punishment. There's a punishment involved when you don't do what you're told. You don't do as you're supposed to. And punishment as discipline is interesting because if you look at definition 3, which again, I don't know how easy that is for you guys to see. Well, now you can't really see. All right, so let's keep it at that. Hopefully you can see this. Hopefully you're not looking at this on your phone. You're going to cause yourself some strained eyes. But it is training that corrects, molds, or perfects the mental faculties or moral character. Like, oh, there's so much to unpack in that definition. So it could be punishment, but it can also be training. Training is not punishment, but obviously when you're with a trainer, you might disagree with me, especially a personal fitness trainer. But it's a training that corrects, molds, like shapes, like creates a certain way that your character is, or perfects the mental faculties. So this is like a very high order mental event or moral character. So, exercising discipline could be that you're training yourself to be a better person. So, discipline isn't necessarily somebody else punishing you or you punishing someone else. It could also be a way that you improve yourself to excellence or perfection in terms of mental faculties and moral character. That's pretty cool. A discipline is also a field of study. So, a field of study, let's talk about that for a second. I work with high school students all the time and undergrad students, and we talk about, where do you want to go to college? Do you want to go to law school? Do you want to go to med school? Do you want to go to grad school? Do you want to go into the workforce? Do you want to get a vocational degree? Do you want to get a certification? All that stuff. I talk about that. We go through a whole list, and we start with, what are you good at already? Like, what are you good at? Not just like, what do you like? I hate that question. It's one of the things that really bothers me about majors and colleges and the whole college selection process is, like, kids keep getting asked from the time they're in like middle school to like high school, well, what do you like? What are you passionate about? What are you really into? What do you love to do? I mean, like, what if you love accounting, but you're dyslexic and you're ADHD and you're really not good at math? I don't know, man. I'm probably not suggesting that you go into the field of study of accounting. What if you want to, like, you love basketball, but you're 4'2", you want to be in the NBA, you can't jump more than 1.5 feet high, and your shooting sucks. You're basically, all your shooting sucks. You suck at shooting. But you love basketball. Well, sure, let's set you up to fail and get you into the career path of the NBA and not focus on any other discipline. So a field of study, if you put it together with number 3, which is training that corrects or perfects the mental faculties, let's just go the college route. What are you already good at? What comes easy to you? What is something that, like, are you writing papers and you're cranking these puppies out and you're getting A's on them, no problem, and everybody around you struggling to get C's? Probably we should be doing something in the field of writing, I would guess. Are you a math whiz? Like, do you just, like, are you in calc in sophomore year of high school because they just couldn't stop you from testing out of the other math classes? Probably we should get you into something that deals with math. Maybe you become a mathematician because you're already good at it. Like, good, really good at it. So with training, we can perfect your skill set. And that could be your field of study. I think people that do it the other way, makes no sense. To me, it just makes no sense. I don't understand it. I don't understand why people tell their kids you could be anything you want to be. That's not true. I don't know why people in schools tell kids, like, don't worry about it until you're a junior and we'll talk about what you like, because I don't think that's a good way to set them up. I think that if you have a self-aware 10 or 11-year-old, you could probably start talking to them about vocation, discipline. Not just, oh, yeah, well, we'll talk about college or whatever else. What if they're just a really, really smart, business-savvy kid? Does it make sense to thwart them for 4 years and send them to a liberal arts school when they could be honing their craft of sales and starting businesses and having a few fail and having a few succeed and a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and they start making, like, really good money? Is it worth it? Maybe. Maybe they're in a marketing degree. Maybe we have them doing advertising stuff and they drop out halfway through and they start a business that starts making a ton of money. I don't know. But if you were talking to them since they were 10 or 11 about their goals and their vocation and start discipline, meaning self-control, orderly and prescribed conduct or a pattern of behavior for them, and then doing a training that perfects their mental faculties, I don't know. Maybe their field of study would be much better off with them. The next one is a rule or system of rules governing conduct or activity. A system of rules is just more to do with rules, punishment, and following a certain order of things. So we're going to break these down. wanted to give you kind of the overview, how I think they all connect together, and then we're going to dive into each one of these, and then we're going to talk about the antonym to self-discipline, which is disregard, and then you get to assess whether or not you live a life of discipline or disregard. That'll be fun for some of us. All right, let's go through the beginning here. Self-control. Restraint exercised over one's own impulses, emotions, or desires. Restraint. What self-control typically tends to deal with is stopping yourself from doing something that you would automatically do based on how you feel, what you want, or your impulse just happened right now. Restraint exercised over one's own impulses, meaning you intentionally engage in the behavior of restraining yourself. So you stop yourself intentionally. It's an exercise, meaning you do it over and over and you get better at it. It is a practice. That's what self-control is. You practice stopping yourself from being an animal. Maybe you're just really hungry. Maybe there's food that just gets dropped in front of you. Maybe you realize if you eat all that, you're going to feel sick. So maybe you restrain yourself a little bit. That's self-control. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you had a long day. Maybe you could fall asleep watching TV or something. But you have something else that you promised somebody you'd do. If you stop yourself from just going to sleep because you're tired, that would be exercising self-control. You did the work. Why is self-control even important? Because I know there's really just a lot of things out there that talk about how you don't have to restrain yourself. There really are no limits. Do whatever you want. Because the more self-control you have, the more you're practicing and training yourself toward perfect mental faculties and moral character. I didn't pull this up in here, but people who have stronger moral character have better memory and they're better mentally. Less instances of dementia, less instances of Alzheimer's. People who exercise strong self-control tend to do better older with their mental faculties. And also just, they're better at mental faculties when they're younger too. I mean, think about it this way. If you were the kind of person when you were a kid and you practiced an instrument every day for like an hour a day, and everybody else in your section of that instrument never took their instrument home, you're going to be the number one person very quickly. It happens all the time. I was first chair for saxophone every chance that it was possible for me to be so. Because I actually practiced it. I took my saxophone home. I liked it. I enjoyed how it sounded, and I liked to make music, and I wanted to get better at it, and I just naturally spent more time with it than most people in my section. In fact, all of them. So I ended up being the first chair. Got into jazz band, got into county band, district band, all these different things. And that's just an instrument. Just exercising perfection in an instrument to do the piece perfectly. Because you can do a piece perfectly. I mean, you see this with piano players and things like that. People pay a lot of money to go see somebody who's going to do it perfectly. So the same thing goes with any mental faculty. I mean, think about chess players. If you saw the Queen's Gambit, you could see that, it's not just a matter of, oh, you're really talented. It's like you live and breathe this thing. Look at Michael Phelps, swimming and practicing every single day over and over and over. That takes a lot of self-control. There's a lot of discipline going on there in order to perfect his faculties and character to the point where he was very much the best at what he did. That takes self-control. I know it's not popular. For sure it's not popular. Come and try and tell me. Fight me. Let's go. Tell me it's popular to talk about self-control and discipline, self-discipline. Because we'll go to self-discipline. I'll talk to you about it right now. Self-discipline. Correction or regulation of oneself for the sake of improvement. Who do you know that talks about self-discipline? on a regular basis, in real life, on TV, in a movie, on a streaming platform? Who talks about self-discipline? I mean, it used to be a little bit, but it was never like a ton in let's be real, with Hollywood and like movies and shows. But I do remember there being lots of montages of people working out, and getting to the end, like Rocky movies and Karate Kid, and the movies where the person's running up the hill and they're like practicing and like getting like sweaty and stuff, or they're building something up and they're making themselves like stronger and faster and better. Army of Darkness, where they like trains the whole army on how to fight the undead, and there's a whole montage, gonna do a montage. Like, montages show a lot of improvement through regulation and correction of oneself. But like, where do you see it today? Where is it? Like, I could try to look for let's just try a show about self-discipline. The Brendan Show. These are podcasts. I joke that my self-discipline is the best thing 16 years of gymnastics gave me. Yeah, I would say that probably is a great thing that it gave you. I think debate did that for me. I think there's, different sports and activities people engage in does give that to them. But not everybody who does those activities has a lot of discipline. I mean, but I guess my point right here is, what is the TV that talks about self-control and self-discipline? Little Super Monsters, Puffin Rock, VeggieTales, of course, VeggieTales. I Love Lucy. I don't know how that teaches self-discipline, but I don't think it does. I think they're lying. Not a very strong list. It's not coming out strong, I'll say that. It's important that it's correction and regulation of oneself. So you're looking at your own performance. You're going over your own behavior. You're correcting yourself. You're regulating yourself for the sake of improvement. I mean, who here doesn't like to be better than they were yesterday? But how do you get there? Well, practice. Okay, but practice, how do you practice every day? Like, I just talked to a client today and it was like, so you're going to actually get ahead on your work now, and you're actually going to do what you need to do every day so that you can stay on top of things and it doesn't fall apart, right? Yeah, getting ahead. Yeah, I think that's a good thing. All right, what's your schedule look like? I don't know. I can't help you, man. I can't help you. You should know, if you're trying to be regulated and trying to improve your behavior and trying to do better, you should have your whole schedule written out every day. You should know when you're free every day. If you really are in discipline mode, you're really trying to make things happen for yourself, and you don't know what your week looks like, you're not really exercising a lot of self-discipline. So there's not a lot of improvement going on, I would say. And most of us don't, especially as adults. Most of us do not exercise correction and regulation about ourselves so that we improve. We just don't. We live our lives. We do things day to day. We have some fun. We have different schedules. We kind of make things mix and match. And after a few weeks, we realize nothing's better. Nothing has changed. I'm not doing any better. I haven't learned anything new. I don't have any more skills. I haven't absorbed a new book. I haven't learned from a different podcast. I have no thing that I have put in time looking to get that 10,000 hours in so that I can consider myself an expert. It's really easy to go through 3 or 4 weeks and not put in consistent effort over time on one thing that you want to get better at. This is one of my things. I'm putting in the time. You see me here at 8 p.m. Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and I am doing this on purpose so I get better at it again. Because I used to be good at this. I used to do this all the time. Did it for like a year and a half, and I got out of it. And some things changed, not a lot of things changed, but I definitely don't have thousands of hours invested in this. And I don't expect to be as good as a lot of the people that I see online until I have thousands of hours of live streaming. But it takes a lot of self-discipline after working all day, all morning, all afternoon, all night, to get on and do an 8 to 10 p.m. show. Granted, I like it. I like the topics because I pick them. I mean, unless you guys pick the topic, in which case that's fine. I'll acquiesce. But, you know, I usually pick the topic. So I like what I'm talking about. I like hanging out online with you guys. I like talking about stuff that's important to me. I think it's fun. It still takes self-discipline to improve. And that's the key statements here is that it's self-correction and regulation, and it's for the sake of improvement. It's not just beating yourself up to beat yourself up. I know plenty of people who do that. Martyrs in their time. Congratulations. You beat yourself up every day. I mean, that's akin to guilt. I don't care if you're guilty or not. That doesn't help anybody. It doesn't do anything. Great, you're guilty. Congratulations. What help did that do? What improvements were caused by that guilt? Same thing. People beat themselves up every day and they're tired every day, but they're not getting better at anything. So what are you tired for? What are you tired from? And like I said earlier, if you're tired, get up anyway and do that last thing that you said you would do for yourself, because that takes self-control and regulation. That's discipline. Improve yourself. I talk to people who for 20 years continue to make the same mistakes over and over again, living the same way that they're living over and over again, day after day, year after year. They're strong, sure, I'll give them that, they're strong, but they have no discipline. And without discipline, you don't improve. Consistent effort over time for the sake of improvement. If you don't like the way your life is going and you don't like the way things are, but you're not doing a consistent, concerted effort over time, controlling yourself, correcting yourself, regulating yourself for the sake of improvement, don't expect anything different. I don't know what to tell you. Don't expect anything to change. And I talk to people and then they disappear and then I talk to them again for like later. Same thing. Oh, what are you doing? Well, I'm kind of stuck in the same loop and pattern that I was in before. Okay. Okay. Are you happy about it? Because, again, discipline can feel like punishment. And it is self-control. And it can be control gained by obedience or order, but it can be self-imposed. So it feels like you're punishing yourself, so it doesn't feel good. But a lot of times it's the only way we improve. Let's talk about punishment as it relates to discipline. Suffering, pain, or loss that serves as retribution. That sounds lovely and fun. So retribution. So that's like justice, like getting what you're due, getting what you deserve, karmic things, whatever, justice. Suffering, pain, and loss that serves as retribution. A penalty inflicted on an offender through judicial procedure. Severe, rough, or disastrous treatment. So if you look at the first, the act of punishing. Okay, so what's punishing? To impose a penalty on for a fault, offense, or violation. So let's get into that. So we look at discipline, and it's like punishment. What is punishment? It is the act of punishing. So what does that mean? Imposing a penalty on for a fault, offense, or violation. Well, what's the violation? Well, if you're looking at this from in terms of discipline, it's your own code. It's your own devotion. It's your own vocation. It's what you've committed to. You violated that, and so there's a penalty. That's what punishment is. Do I believe in punishing yourself? Not really. Let me think about that for a second. No, not really. I don't see the point. I think punishing yourself is very self-aggrandizing and self-gratifying. We talked about this with the guilt stream. If you're offended by that and you don't know what I'm talking about, highly recommend you go back and look at the guilt stream. because it's something you do to yourself to benefit yourself and to tell yourself you're better than everybody else. But that's a whole other point. I'm not going to make that again today. To inflict a penalty for the commission of an offense in retribution or retaliation, to deal with roughly or harshly, and to inflict injury. Well, if you look at like the gym, it's always like kind of like, I don't know, it's too easy of a metaphor. But if you're in the gym and you're lifting really heavy weights, it actually injures and inflicts injuries on your muscles. They break, they snap, they pull, and then your body over repairs them and builds them up more because it says, oh, you're probably going to have to do even more things later, so let's make you stronger by overbuilding up in scar tissue and stuff around that muscle. It hurts. But if you're committed to self-improvement at the gym, this is kind of a no-brainer. But let's do something more cerebral. Let's talk about discipline in terms of training to perfect your mental faculties or moral character. Let's talk about it from that perspective. You deal with yourself harshly or roughly, and you inflict injury on your brain and your body by practicing and practicing, maybe hurting your fingers if you're playing guitar, maybe hurting your throat if you're doing debate or speech, maybe hurting your head by like reading under lights all the time, and you just keep reading and trying to absorb the information. Listening to different podcasts and lectures and continuing to stay up night after night to get better. That hurts. So why are you doing it? Because you're trying to improve yourself. Duh. But it is a punishment, kind of. Like, you feel like you're punishing yourself. Like, why, man? I don't like this. This doesn't feel good. I want to go to bed. I don't want to have to worry about this crap. I just want to like party. I just want to relax. I'm exhausted. I already worked all day. I don't understand why I should be doing this. I get it. Totally get that. Now get back to work. It's like that Speed Racer meme where it's like, I don't understand why you're crying, and don't do that because anyway, it's not doing anything and we have work to do. Like that's a direct translation in English from the Japanese, but I mean, it's pretty great speech. It's like, yeah, great, you're going to whine and complain, but I don't really know what good it's going to do because you have work to do. If you have a goal and you want to perfect your craft, you want to do better, find perfection in what you're doing as a discipline, it's going to hurt. And that's ugly, and it's not attractive, it's not sexy, and it's still true. It's still true. You get calluses on your fingers before you get good at guitar. It's like a prereq. You're not even good at guitar when you get calluses on your fingers. It's just you stop bleeding. You get better at debate after months and months of your throat being sore at the end of the day from talking too long. My thumb had this super muscle right here from writing it down notes from other people over and over and over and over again, doing the flow sheet for everything they're saying. It takes a lot of discipline to be in a gym. It takes a lot of discipline to do gymnastics, swimming, any kind of major sport. Golf has a ton of discipline. You got to keep practicing over and over and over again to get better at it. What is the thing you're good at? If you found it, or at least something that comes easy to you, start punishing yourself. Start disciplining yourself. Get into a rhythm, consistent effort over time. Improve it. I implore you to find the thing that you're good at and suffer for a while until you're way better at it, almost perfect at it. Because not only, trust me, does it benefit you, because it does. It definitely benefits you. But we could all benefit from people who have exercised discipline for a while. Have people who have multiple disciplines that they're excellent at. People who are willing to control themselves, correct themselves, regulate themselves, and improve themselves. We would all benefit from people who spent even a tenth of the time doing that versus whatever other dumb shit we're all doing all the time. It would be fantastic. It really would be great. Dear Lord, that'd be great. Let's talk about vocation. A summons or strong inclination to a particular state or course of action. So a lot of times it's like religious, like divine, call to the religious life. entry into the priesthood or religious order, but it does not have to be religious. It can feel spiritual. I mean, hell, you can feel very strongly that you want to be a nurse, you want to be an EMT, you want to be a teacher, you want to be a firefighter. You can feel very strong inclination toward a course of action that gets you to that. Okay. That's a vocation. That's a synonym to discipline. Because discipline is a orderly and prescribed conduct or pattern of behavior, and it's a field of study. That's why they're great synonyms, but vocation also has a bad rap. I mean, I remember like we had the Votech when I was in high school. Man, what a crock that was that we were sold. Oh, you're doing college prep. Great. So these guys get to play around and get excellent at actual things like working on cars, wiring houses, getting good at baking and cooking professionally. They get to do all these actual things that are going to make them money for sure when they're out of high school. We're on the college track. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. Vocational schools had really bad reputations for probably 40 years or whatever, 40, 50 years. So we didn't really think about vocation as like, or Votech. Oh, yeah, my kid's not going to Votech, they're going to college. Why? They're both vocations. If they want to be a high-tech computer analyst, they had to go to college, and that's their vocation. It's all a vocation, but we have muddied the word. We've soiled the word vocation. Really what it is a discipline. It's a major. It's a career choice. So when you hear somebody talking about a vocation, which people don't typically anymore, it is the work in which a person is employed. It's anything that you're doing is your vocation. But I like that 1A definition. It's a strong inclination to the particular state or course of action. It's not just a job. So like a job is like, hey, I'm just working at the gas station or the grocery store. I want to pay some bills. I'm going to get this done. Sales job. I'm just doing this because it makes good money and I'm good at selling it. Great. Still not a vocation. A vocation is something you feel really strongly about. You're like, yeah, man, this is where it's at. This is what life's about. This is what I care about. That's it. And then what do you do when you have a vocation? Well, hopefully you try to improve yourself. And that takes self-discipline. So to get into a discipline, which is a vocation, so to have a discipline, you need to exercise self-discipline, which is correcting and regulating yourself. And at times that's going to feel like punishment, which is also a synonym for discipline. So you're going to hurt. It's going to feel severe. You're going to be punishing yourself so that you deal with yourself harshly. And all of that is you're disciplining yourself and you feel disciplined so that you can be self-disciplined so that you can improve at a discipline. Yeah, I think I got that all right. That's a lot of discipline. Vocation's great. Special function of an individual group. Vocation's a great word. Don't let anybody tell you the vocation's not good. So discipline deals with all these things. It's about just like making your life better, improving yourself through suffering, which is another one of my favorite words. I'm sure I'll do a stream on suffering someday. I love it. But it's because suffering leads to growth a lot of times, especially if it's self-inflicted and it's to improve yourself. Like suffering just for the sake of suffering, like I said, that's masturbatory at best, and it's self-aggrandizing and gratifying and making yourself a martyr at worst. It's just a terrible thing. But suffering for a good reason to improve yourself, now that I can get behind. So, I'm going to take a quick coffee break because my coffee is cold as hell. And then we're going to talk about the opposite of discipline. So, BRB, LOL. We're going to talk about this in a second. Didn't take too long this time. But we are back here talking about self-discipline. Again, if you have any anecdotal stories about your own practice, your own discipline, your own punishment that you've gone through, your parents or somebody in your life pushing you hard, maybe making you do like rough stuff to get better at something that you didn't really understand why, but you appreciate it now, let me know. I think that it's something that is often has to be instilled in us when we're young. I think a lot of it's cultural, which, the smallest culture is the individual, second smallest is the family. So it's a cultural thing, but there's a broad culture as well that either values effort and practice and perfection over time or doesn't. And I just don't think we live in one of those societies right now. So it'd be interesting to hear if you guys have those kinds of stories. Just want to make sure that these levels are on. Okay. I think we're good now. I think we're green lining. It didn't seem like it for a minute. One thing that is really interesting to me, just as an observation, we talked about abuse yesterday. Had a lot of people pop out and talk about difficult things to talk about with abuse. Their own stories, their own examples, questions. Think about how unattractive talking about discipline is, that I have less people giving examples or talking about that than abuse. It's one of the biggest criticisms that I have towards my own stream. I thought about this when I was doing this and I was coming back to the live streaming world. Sure, there's going to be people that pop in. There's going to be people that want to hang out. And I'll do some fun things. Obviously we're going to play games and we'll talk about things. We have guests on Thursdays. But I knew that talking about uncomfortable topics that are not attractive is just not going to be attractive. It's not something that people are going to want to hear about, listen to, wrestle with, talk to each other about. And yet I believe it needs to be done. I think that it's a cultural shift. I think there is going to be an appetite for these sorts of streams, these sorts of topics, eventually. I don't know if I'm too far ahead of my time where I just stop doing it and then 3 years later it picks up and people start realizing the value of these terms that I come up with every week. But if somebody doesn't start talking about real life stuff and self-improvement for real and unattractive, uncomfortable topics that most people want to shy away from and not talk about, like, what if that doesn't happen soon? What's going to happen? What are we going to do when nobody knows what the hell discipline is? When nobody really understands what it means to do effort over time? When nobody has talked about being uncomfortable and its virtue? What are we going to do? It's all nihilism and hedonism forever now because that's what sells clicks. Like, I don't know. I just can't see myself doing that. I'm not going to just fall into that. It's sure infotainment, love it, great. Yes, I'll do streams that are infotaining, but we got to talk about the stuff like these elephants that are in the room that nobody else really wants to address. We got to talk about them at some point. I'd love to do it before it's too late. I don't know about you. And if you're here and you're listening and you're watching, at least you're listening and watching. You're doing better than most people. You're somebody who's at least willing to listen to this idea and listen to what it means and get these words in your brain. Remember, and I talked about this a few weeks ago when I started this up again, that like why current events don't matter and what they're designed to do. And they're designed to control your thoughts. Not like mind control, like Manchurian Candidate shit. It's just designed to be what's in your head today. So if nobody talks to you about anything except for the Kardashians and like Biden and COVID and monkeypox and whatever other dumb shit they're talking about for months at a time, if that's not what's in your head, your mind is freed up and it can think about other stuff. And then imagine that 3 days a week for 2 hours, you inject your own brain on purpose with topics related to self-improvement, improving your health, improving your family relationships, improving your own relationships, educating yourself on things to look out for and prevent problems with. Again, 6 hours a week. But how long until we get to 10,000 hours? I don't know. I don't want to calculate that out. But at least hundreds of hours you'll get over just a couple of years. Damon Power, hi, how are you? We're talking about discipline. How it's important to talk about it. Nobody likes to. So, but imagine that you're doing that. Imagine that you're talking about topics like this every day, 3 days a week. You're filling your head with that. You're filling your head with things that are more self-improvement related. That can't be a bad thing. Now, let's get back to the discipline aspect of this. And if you're doing this for self-improvement, it's correction and regulation. You're getting into a chat, you're talking to people, you're listening to different ideas, and you're questioning yourself, holding each other accountable. If, let's say, you're at a family or a friend or whoever it is that's on the stream. And you're doing this for the sake of improvement, self-improvement and improvement of your small community. Communities are also the individual, then the family, and then it goes up from there. But culture and community start with the individual. And if you are injecting your brain with more things like this and less things like the Kardashians, you're going to be ahead very quickly, and you will be improved. Like, again, go back to, you will be more perfect in your mental faculties and moral character than others. That's going to lead to financial gain. That's going to lead to better jobs. It's going to lead to better relationships. It's going to lead to more happiness. Your health is going to improve. All these things are going to get better, and you're just going to feel better and better and do better and better. And what are you doing? I mean, you're hanging out on Twitch or YouTube or whatever for like 6 hours a week. Not even, like we're almost done, and it's only an hour in. But we talked about discipline. Because if we don't, what's the opposite? And that's the dangerous part. I'm going to talk about disregard. To pay no attention to, treat as unworthy of regard or notice. The act of treating someone or something as unworthy of regard or notice, the state of being disregarded. So think about what that means. You're treating something as unworthy of notice. I hate when people put the definition and then they put the word in there. Not regard. Let's get rid of that word. But you stop paying attention, or you don't think it's worth noticing. That's disregard. So it's the opposite. It's the antonym for discipline. So let's go back to the gym example or the guitar example. If you are practicing it every day and you're correcting yourself and you're managing yourself, you're monitoring yourself, you're doing that, you're kind of punishing yourself by doing it longer than you really want to do it. It hurts. It's uncomfortable. But you're doing it for the sake of improvement and perfecting yourself. You're disciplined in your discipline. Disregard is when you don't care enough to notice that you're not better at this thing. You don't notice that you're lacking in this area. You don't notice that, you understand something, but you could do better. That's disregard. What does that lead to? 3 months, 4 months, 10 months, 10 years, and you're exactly the same as you were. You have not improved. Things have not gotten better because you don't find it worthy of your attention. You don't even pay attention to it. So that's the key here. It's not even worth your time. People tell me all the time things that are important to them. Oh man, I love my kids. Oh, yeah, no, I really think my job's important. No, I really do want to go to this school. I hear this all the time. But what are you doing about it? And if you're not spending the time, if you're not putting in the effort over time, you're not doing the research, you're not practicing, you're not correcting yourself, you're not looking at some things you do and go, man, that sucked, I'm going to do better next time, for the sake of improving in those areas, you're lying. I don't know who you're lying to. You might be lying to me. Probably not. I think you know who you're lying to. You don't really care because you don't care enough to take notice that you're not that good at it. That's the issue. People believe what you do. You believe what you say to yourself, but everybody else is just looking at what you do. Everybody knows what you think's important because they see you. We judge what somebody cares about by what we see them spend the most time, energy, and attention on. Sorry. You're the only one that doesn't do that with yourself, but you do it with everybody else. We all do. We're all stuck there. We're stuck behind our head. You're the only person that you don't see as another human being because you're looking through your eyeballs all the time. Even when you look in a mirror, it doesn't look like you. When people listen to their own voice on a recording, it doesn't sound like them because it doesn't sound the same as it does ringing around in your head. We're stuck behind our eyeballs, but trust me, it is noticeable what you care about and what you find worthy of your attention over time based on what you notice, based on what your actions are, based on what you practice, based on what your vocation and discipline are. Those are actions. That's behaviors. Not what you say, not what you yell out in the air, not what you post on social media, putting pictures up all the time about something. That's not what you care about, because what you give notice to and improve about yourself is really what you care about. So instead of trying to tell yourself what you care about, try to look and listen to yourself and see what you actually care about and what you disregard. Go from there. If you don't like it, change it. If you like it, be proud of yourself. Keep going. Keep pushing. Show that discipline. Exercise that self-discipline. Correct or regulate yourself. Do that effort over time. Get where you want to go with what you care enough about, that you find valuable enough and interesting enough to pay attention to. Do it. But if what you see yourself paying the most attention to makes you feel uncomfortable, I just did my job today. And you have a job to do. So I hope this was helpful. Again, if you have any interesting information, stories, things to talk about that are related to this, feel free to DM me if you're not comfortable putting it in the chat. Otherwise, feel free to chat. I'm going to stick around for a minute. I'm going to hang out. I'm going to play some music until the song is over. We'll go to the end screen. I'm going to enjoy this delicious coffee. We'll switch over to the full screen chat so I can just hang out with you guys before I go. But tomorrow, I don't have a guest lined up tomorrow. I had one, but he didn't work out, and he may be on next week. I'm not sure. So after Labor Day, I may have somebody that I was supposed to have this week. I'm thinking about getting my good friend Chris Macarini on here. He doesn't know that I'm asking him yet. And we might just start talking shit about books and movies, because apparently he has written novels and short stories, and I didn't know that, which makes him a very interesting character. Hopefully he's somebody that wants to come on, has the time to do so, and that you find interesting. It'll be a good time. We're going to talk about horror, probably. We just watched a movie together. It was very good. And we'll talk about people talking shit about new movies and new intellectual properties that are probably fine. It's just there's a lot of money in throwing hate at things, and a lot of attention that people get from throwing hate at things. So we'll see. If we don't have a guest tomorrow, I will be back on here. I may play some game or watch something with you that's copyright free, or I may continue talking about the topics we were going over the last couple weeks, or do a Q&A. I don't know. It's a mixed bag tomorrow. It's going to be like a potluck. Come ready to talk. Come ready with questions. Come ready with thoughts. I'm happy to look things up. I'll go through some stuff with you, and we'll see where we land. I love going through the rabbit hole of the internet. There are certain things in Reddit that I won't go on, but happy to do that. Otherwise, Thursday is going to be very quick. So we'll see. Anyway, I'm glad that you guys were here. Thank you for being here today. Thank you to Damon Power for jumping on here, Miss Nick for contributing. And you guys have a great Wednesday night. I'll see you back here tomorrow at 8 o'clock.